Hello everyone, I hope I'm online everywhere. Yeah, my homepage is working, which is tremendous. Oops, sorry. Everyone, I hope Hello everyone, I hope I'm online everywhere. Just hang on. I'm just switching it off, sorry for that. But I'm just trying to find out whether it works, and it works. Yay! We've done it. It was quite a bit of work to get there, but it seems to be working. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. I hope I'm online everywhere. Now, you can use the chat except for my homepage. That hasn't got the chat, but it's got a comment session. So if you've got questions, please write them in the comments and I will answer them, I suppose, after the live stream. And if you have questions, please write them in the chat. I will come into the chat and I will answer questions there. So if you have got any questions, please feel free to look or to write them into the chat and I will have a look in there just to make sure we are interactive, even though we can't really communicate directly, because it is important for me that we interact, that you take part in these lives. I have given you, I think, the option to use stickers as well, and you can have loads of stickers if you want to use them. So now let's dive into the subject, and I will switch to slideshow now. So I won't see you now, and I will go through the slides. We'll talk about the subject, and in between I will go out of the slides and look into the chat whether there are questions, remarks, etc. So what about the stress in your life? It is your chance to grow. Stress is not only negative. Even our body needs stress to function properly. That's something we sometimes overview. We think we don't need stress. We don't want stress. It feels uncomfortable. But imagine you're planning your wedding. That's pure stress, but you're happy. So stress doesn't have to be negative. I'm living in Germany, I'm located in Germany, and stress is expensive and largely treatable. 17 million people in Germany live with psychological illnesses. It doesn't matter whether it's depression, psychosis, addiction, it's all included. Burnout, of course, as well. And I'm not a psychotherapist, just to make that clear, and I will not give you a psychotherapy. But if I notice that you need a psychotherapist, I will ask you to search for one. I just had that in one coaching. She was so nervous, she couldn't sleep for days, weeks nearly. And I had to send her to a psychiatrist and to get proper medications. So that's happened. that happens, and I do it, but I'm not going to work with you on burnout, depression, or anything. To get a psychotherapy place in Germany might take 1.5 years. And now you understand why I sent this person to a psychiatrist. Of course, she needs medication first. And while she's there, we will look for a psychotherapist, because that can take a long time. So 50% of depressive clients never see a psychotherapist because they are not referred further from the general practitioner. And another thing is, only about 50%, it might have changed, that is the study from 2000 by Graver, are getting the treatment they need with a psychotherapist. So the chance to drop out are quite high. And we might have, or you might have to change this psychotherapist. I can only speak for Germany, but in Germany you've got free first meetings with different psychotherapists before you decide. So 70% of depressive cases could be avoided with timely support. And that is where I come in, because I don't want you to run into a burnout. I don't want you to run into a depression. I want, when you realize you're stressed, you're overwhelmed in your current situation, I want you to get in contact with me already. I am working more with a practical approach, and that's what you will get to know today. And I'm warning you, this is not a sprint, this is not a scroll, this is not a click. It is a marathon. I've been running ultra marathons, so I know what I'm talking about, and it takes time. Just to warn you. So, stress isn't your enemy. I mentioned that before. Stress originally comes and describes the pressure or tension on material. Just imagine a rubber band, and it is elastic. But when you pull it too far, it'll tear. And it's just the same with us. Salger later transferred this principle on humans. And he said, we can bear stress, but only to a certain amount. And trauma patients have torn the band. Like, it's not their fault, don't get me wrong, but it's just how dreadful it is when the resilience doesn't stay stable anymore. Stress is not only negative. I brought you the example of a marriage or planning a marriage. Skipping breaks because I feel like wasted time is what tips healthy stress into harmful kind. We just talked about it in a live podcast yesterday. Stress is healthy, but you have stress and then you go down into a break, into a relaxed state, and then you come up again and have the next stress part. This is all about, so to say, this frequency. It's not that I don't want you to experience stress. And positive psychology at the beginning didn't implement worst cases. And they have started to edit, because imagining worst cases before they happen helps you to find solutions, to know what you want to do in the case when it happens. So it is about getting your cortisol level on a healthy ground and then keeping it there. I've got a story for you now. It's about an accident. Peter is a student. He's poor. He's so happy since a few weeks he's got his own car. In the morning, he wrote a test and examen, and he's driving home and he's thinking about his examen and crashes into Wolfgang. His car is total loss. And Wolfgang has got a Rolls Royce, a really big and safe car. He's hardly got a scratch on his car. And he's absolutely relaxed. Well, it happens. Peter is an emotional wreck because he's smashed his car. He doesn't know how to finance it. He spent all his money on it. And he was so happy to be not stuck to official or trains, buses and all that. And now he's lost everything. And Wolfgang, he acknowledges the damage calmly. He calls the police, who treat the moment as something to handle, while Peter is panicking. So we've got the same event, and even Wolfgang is the one whose car has been hit. And both react totally different. Wolfgang actually walks to Peter and helps him to overcome the situation. They even go together and drink a coffee. So Wolfgang helps Peter to calm down, to relax, and convinces Peter that there are possibilities and that he doesn't have to give up. So where does our stress actually come from, or your stress come from? There are mainly three areas or groups. Your relationships, your family, your health, your money. It can be really stressful. Then we've got work, deadlines, workload, recognition, and the demands of your role. I am partly working with leaders who have 100 people to look after, to supervise. And when I'm working with them, they get calm like anything. So the question is, how do you stay resilient? But resilient doesn't mean not being stressed. And the trouble is, concerning work, at least in Germany, I think mainly in the West at least, I suppose Asia is a bit different, the success companies or businesses have or had for the last 15 years is work density became tighter. And that doesn't work anymore. So as we have high energy costs and high productivity costs, companies are leaving Germany now and often going to the east of Germany or Asia. Environmental noise is definitely underestimated. Noise is a really bad stressor. When you've got a Trump passing your house day and night, at night it might not be as frequent, it'll wake you. Your mind listens and it disturbs your stress. Commute. If you live in Germany, you know what trains are like. We just had a total outage. I think no train in Germany was driving anymore or was moving anymore. And This is what really stressed. I just, with this outage, talked to a colleague because I met her by chance, and she said she's been at home at 3 at night because no train was going anymore. Your living situations, the stress your surroundings create. So now I come to a model, and it might be surprising that I'm explaining you a model, but I have talked about reducing stress is not a swipe, it's not a click, and it's not scrolling, but changing habits. And you might know how difficult it is with your New Year's resolutions. Many want to go and start sports in a gym. How often do they go? 3 times, and then they drop it. So this is what this model will help you to understand. We've got 6 stages: pre-thinking, awareness, preparing, action, maintenance, and stable change. Pre-thinking, there is no awareness that anything has to change, and that can last for 6 months. Next, we get aware there has to be a change, and we see the problem, and we start to think, is it worth changing, or are we staying in the current position? Then we make a decision, oh, something has to change, and we start the first steps. But they feel insecure, they feel strange. We might get opposition from colleagues. Why are you all of a sudden saying no? You've always done it. And we fall back into awareness. We know we have to change, but we are frightened. Then we take the first actions and perhaps see the first results, but we relapse because of this uncertainty again. And then the more we practice, the more action we take. The action we take repeats, and this repetition gives us safety, security. And it is like learning reading or learning riding a bicycle. At first, it didn't really work, but the more we trained it, the more we used it, the more fast, the more learning it took place, the more stable our process became. So today you might read a page diagonal and not letter by letter anymore. Today you might drive without hands at your bar, and at the beginning you were wobbly and trying to keep straight. And the more you practice, the more stable your change gets. But be aware, even when the stage of stable change has arrived, relapses and lapses will occur. And don't be too harsh with you. Every time you have reached a new goal, reward yourself, because we love rewarding. So now I want to come to mindfulness, because being aware without judging is what we need. We have about 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day. So think, if all these thoughts would be conscious and you would be judging them, I think you wouldn't do anything, to be honest. And before I go in this, let me just check if there are any questions. There are no questions. Okay, so I can go on again and move on. We will. So, mindfulness. Mindfulness means being aware of the present situation. And in an open, non-judgmental way, and accepting the experience. And that is something you will have, so to say, to learn. And when you start to be mindful in everything you do, then you won't be really stressed. But that is something we have to learn and to practice. I'm not really a fan of meditation. I am not against it, but I think meditation on its own doesn't always help. The more we are mindful in what we are doing, the more relaxed you will go through your life. So be grateful for what you have experienced, and it might even be negative experiences because they teach you something. Enjoy the moment. We come to that in a moment again. Stay with what is happening now instead of past or future. Be optimistic. We often have negative thoughts and we see the worst happening, but in most cases it won't happen. So hold a hopeful, workable view of what comes next. And look into positive relationships. Lean on connections as a buffer against stress. That is important, and successful business owners get rid of negative people. They even eliminate neutral people. They observe those for some time, and they only keep the ones with positive energy in their network, socializing with them. So it's your reaction which stresses you. It's not the situation. The situation itself is neutral. And it is what thoughts you put, so to say, into this situation. And especially when we are stressed, we tend to have a negative view at the situation. God grant me the sincerity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to discern the one from the other. Why did they do that? Why did Peter crash into my car? This should not have happened. That might be a thought Peter has. My car is gone. My savings are gone. I invested in this car. How dare they? And first of all, we've got the feelings to a situation. And then our feelings follow. Anger and resentment. We've seen it in Peter. He was outrageous. He was overwhelmed. He was angry and so on. He felt powerless because he knew he hasn't got money. Feeling injured or attacked. He's done it on purpose. Do you know that? If somebody's driving close to you behind. Body reactions, tunnel view. When you are in stress, you have a tunnel view of somebody who's drank 1 promille alcohol. And that means you are not seeing the bunch of flowers, your bouquet of flowers with roses, tulipans, and so on, has only got roses with big thorns. Tense muscles, sweating, racing pulse, headaches, sleep problems over time. Now I come to a model I have nearly explained already. We have got an activating event. We have a belief which is negative. Why did I crash into Wolfgang? That's a negative belief because it makes me reactive. And now I need a new belief. Okay, I crashed into Wolfgang, but there will be a solution. I will earn money. I will have to work harder. I have to have more sleep to be concentrating on the situation. I have to practice mindfulness. These could be proactive beliefs. And the consequences would be, okay, it's happened. There will be a solution. And the first, oh gosh, how am I going to face this? Now I'm back to ground. I'm grounded again. So you can rate how you feel negatively and positively between 0 or 0 and 10. Do it with both and you see. You don't write down one belief, normally you've got more, and then you can look how I feel about which belief. And when you have the same situation or a similar situation in the future, you can swap from your negative belief to the new one, and at some stage you won't even think the negative believe anymore, just jump to the positive belief. But it takes practice. To help you to get a gap between your current stress and the daily task, your daily life, I have designed the perfect day. And this perfect day will help you to calm down, to open the tunnel view, to get the bouquet of flowers back. But it'll take time. So once a week, I've got a 7-day challenge as well. You can use that to start with, that's for free. And structure your day. That'll be the first. And it means you have got your morning routine. And you use this morning routine to wake up. I don't want you in the morning immediately to jump out of bed and start working and having breakfast at best while you work. So get up early and take time for yourself. And that means writing a journal, going for a walk, having a meditation. And next, you have breakfast. You don't have a phone with your breakfast. And when you've got had breakfast and perhaps you've driven to your workplace, you start with your to-do list. And many do the to-do list in the evening already. And they do it in the evening because of the prioritization. When you do it before you go to bed, you know what to do the next day. So you take yourself quite a bit of uncertainty. 3 balanced meals. Make sure you take lunch. and you give yourself time. You have lunch with your colleagues, not with your mobile phone, not with your computer, not at your workplace. Because this break already defines your sleep. I know that might be surprising, but what you eat when you eat has to do with your sleep. So the right beverages. How many coffees or black teas are you drinking during the day? How much sugar are you having? Are you drinking Coke, lemonade, coffee with sugar, tea with sugar? Sugar rises your cortisol and lets it drop dead. Are you eating white bread? The same. Take time for yourself. Go for a walk. Draw, knit, gardening, whatever you want to do. Do it for yourself. Stay calm when the chaos comes. It often occurs between 10 and 12 o'clock in an office job because all the phone calls come in, and I tend to write it down, and afterwards, when it calms down, I sit down and restructure my to-do list. How to prioritize you will learn in the course or in a coaching with me. Sources of energy. Who are you socializing with? We had that. Look for the positive energy. And one thing people who are stressed do most first, get rid of their friends. So don't do that. Now I come to laugh as much as you can. Children are, especially young ones, are laughing about 240 times a day. Adults do it 5 or 6 times a day. So learn to laugh again and to create funny situations. Be grateful. When you write a journal in the morning, put down 5 things you're grateful for. It can be that the sun is shining, it could be your dinner, it could be somebody you met, some goals you reached, how tiny they are, it doesn't matter. Be grateful. Sleep well, get at least 7 hours of sleep. Work on your vision, because the vision will motivate you to get up in the morning and to focus on what you want to inherit when you are gone. And check your motives. Are you doing it because you want to do it, or is somebody telling you? Nutrition, water steady. Eat to stay full, not to spike. So aim for 3 steady meals rather than constant snacking. Do you know this? You've got a bowl of sweets in the office of the secretary. You pass the secretary's office, you take a snack, put it into your mouth and start walking. The trouble is, this is a full meal for your body. So you're adding meals. And having 3 steady meals doesn't mean carbohydrates. It means something else. Yeah, find food that keeps you full longer. So eating stops being constant background task. And drink at least 2 litres of water. We've got about nearly 40 degrees outside, so we could do 3 litres as well at the moment. So how do you make sure you drink? Put your glass everywhere where you go. So 1 in the living room, 1 in the kitchen, 1 in the office. And you always fill it up. You always have a zip. And then you get these 2 litres. Black tea, green tea, coffee, rice, adrenaline. The more you drink, the more you'll need. Green tea is not as bad as coffee and black tea. But the adrenaline rises your cortisol as well. And it will go up and it falls down and you get tired and then you drink the next coffee. And this is a vicious circle. So try to be mindful in the moment every time. Herbal teas, water are great alternatives if you don't sugar them. So let me go back and have a look if you have got any questions. No, nothing there. Okay, then I will go on. Sleep. Sleep is really the most important part to be energetic. And it takes 7+ hours. There is the odd exception that needs 4 hours, but normally we need 7+ hours. The older you get, the less it might be because the quality is dropping. Important is quality over quantity. Keep your bed quiet and free of screens. I read a few days ago, 30 minutes before you go to bed, switch off everything. I know 60 minutes, and I advise you do it longer than shorter. If reading keeps you up, reach for a paper book rather a phone or a tablet. Reading a paper book is a great way to calm down, and don't read scientific stuff. Just read a funny novel, a comedy, and you will find relax, and you see how your muscles will relax and you go to sleep. Studies suggest smartwatches can rise pulse by at least 1 beat per minute, worth questioning before bed if you're already stressed. That's what a doctor told me as well. So think about taking off your smartwatch. I would put it off on a regular basis, but the odd time I will put it on to see which sleep phases are lacking, which are bad. So as a control or control instrument, so to say, to audit, so to say, your sleep. Sleep is when the day's experience are processed and stress is metabolized, so you can't feel fit the next morning. It is really about deep sleep, light sleep, REM sleep, and light sleep. If you have no REM sleep, you will find tired. You will find knackered. And if you don't want that, make sure you don't drink alcohol, you don't drink coffee in the afternoon, perhaps 1 in the morning, and that's it. In the morning, the cortisol level is the highest, and then it should drop until you go to sleep. So now is the time where you are able to take it from here and work with me. If you want to really have a one-to-one coaching with me, it'll be 12 sessions over 3 months, so to say every week we will meet, and you will have these 3 months just with me, and we will build on a personalized resilience plan around your stresses. We share a digital whiteboard and practical worksheets. The worksheets will be uploaded on the whiteboard, and the whiteboard is not only for me, but it is for you to work on. So you can upload files, you can add text, you can add images, and you can upload, I guess, templates as well to work on, which you want to use. We will have a messaging channel that can be Telegram, it could be WhatsApp. I have, I think, Signal and these as well. So whatever you want, you can have it. Additionally, we have an AI coach, Charles, which is included, and you will have access to that afterwards as well. Charles is to support me. He is not to take my place. I don't want you to finish the coaching and then not have any support. You can have an upsell, which is the Resilience Club, and I've got a coupon for it as well. So I will add the coaching and the coupons for you into the chat, just to make sure you can use that to get the help you need. Book your coaching. Oh, just hang on, it doesn't want to work yet. Don't know why. No. Oh, I have a problem there. It doesn't put it in completely. Okay, I think that doesn't matter. Let me just check. Yeah, that works. Let me send you this. And yes, and then you find this you will find the coaching there, and in a moment I will tell you the coupons. There are two. One is for the coaching. This is the first one is for the coaching. And you will get 20% off. And the second one is for the Resilience Club, the upsell. These will go again. Oh, something's gone wrong. Yeah, I have sent it into the chat again. Have a look, and I'm looking forward to meeting you. Get in touch with me if you still got questions. If you want to know anything, if you want to know how I'm working, please feel free to get in touch with me, and I'm looking forward to